My selenite life, cutting all the negative energy. Be gone. Be gone, negative energy. Shh. Where do we go from here? Good question. Everybody is asking that right now. What happens now? How do we move forward? What's going on? Is the world really in that mess? That much chaos? The world has been chaos since the day man could walk on two legs. Okay, because then our brain starts to get bigger and more capacity to store things and to be in places where we weren't before when we were on all fours. You know, the evolution ladder has actually helped our species because it's forced us to work together. But here's the thing, we work together, but yet we don't work together. You know, when we were first learned how to walk and harness fire, the humanity, it was a big deal to help each other. You had to. It's in order for you to survive in this world that is really not necessarily out to get you, but will get you if you're not careful. You know, because we were at the bottom of the food chain. Bottom. And when I mean bottom, we were at the bottom of the food chain. And when, you know, we're honestly, really, we're kind of at the bottom of the food chain when you really think about it. A lot of us could not survive on our own without the help of others. The way society has created, the way society has made life as it is today, you and I, the majority of us, could not survive for too long without the help of interaction or with other people. Now, some of you are going, "Oh, Iggy, I'm a survivalist. I can live all by myself." I'm talking about the whole pie. I'm not talking about one fractional segment of the pie where people can do it and they don't need help of other people, because there's always those folks who know how to survive and they will always survive. But I'm talking about the average Jane, the average Joe, or the average Jose, the average Maria, you know? Let's get everybody in there, you know? Let's just not be one-sided here. In every culture, we're going to have people who are going to suffer, who are not going to know how to live sustainably. Is our culture going to a non-sustainable culture or sustainable culture? Well, right now, what's happening is we're having a lot of upheaval with beliefs, you know, ideologies, faiths, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things right now happening to humanity. Because, quite frankly, sometimes I believe, this is my belief, that we're not grateful for the things that we have, that we're not appreciative of the things we have, that we're so conditioned now to just accept things as they are. Oh, well, I have air conditioning. Do you have air conditioning? Is the air conditioning on in your house? But I paid for that. I'm not saying you didn't pay for it. I'm asking if you had air conditioning. Are you grateful for the air conditioning? Do you have heat in the winter? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have a car? Do you have a bike? Do you have a unicycle, tricycle? Regardless, a means of transportation. If you have that, then there's no excuse why you can get stuck in the ruts of life. All these means you have shelter, you have food, you have a way to get around, unless you can't pay for gas to get in your car. That's a whole nother scenario. But my point is this: where do we go from here? Every generation, every group has something that goes wrong. There's always something that doesn't work out in our favor. That's just kind of how it is, right? It's that way. It's just that way. You can't help but live in life and know that you're going to have problems, because problems and situations and learning experiences are part of being human. It's part of being anything that lives on this planet. The deer has to adjust to the new conditions after its woodland forest was destroyed to build a whole set of condos for people who are going to live inside these boxed caves in order to live in a better neighborhood, to work closer to their jobs or whatever, etc., etc., etc. You know, so here we are. Here we are. All humans live in caves. We all do. We live in these boxes, and basically they're essentially caves. They're caves. You and I live in a cave. You live in a cave. If you have a cave, should be grateful for your cave. May not be the most humble cave, maybe, but if you have a roof over your head and you have air conditioning and you have a place to contemplate your thoughts, then, awesome. But there are a lot of people who don't have that. There are a lot of people in this world who don't have that. There are a lot of people who are suffering. A lot of people who would learn to live without clean drinking water. There are people who learn how to eat one meal a day, or if even one meal. There are people who have been they've been relocated, redistributed, moved around the world, put in encampments. We don't have any clue. The only thing we feel is the residual pain and suffering of what they're feeling. We feel their pain because we feel our pain through them, with them. But we will never feel what their true pain is, to not have a home, not to be in their homeland, not to be in a place where they can call security. Here in America, I'd have to say a lot of us are very freaking spoiled. We have a lot of stuff here, a lot of resources. We have a lot of help for a lot of things. But in the same token, we don't have anything until we embark and search for it and look for it. I hear people all the time complaining because their day is bad or something happened. And, granted, we're going to have bad days because that's what humans do. We have bad days and we have great days and amazing days. So where do we go from here? Well, first of all, it's to acknowledge, I think, what we have individually. And if that's good enough for us. Individually, what do you have individually? Can you count on your fingers the blessings you have? Or can you count on your finger all the things that are just not going well in your life? All the things that you feel like you've been jilted or you've been screwed over. There's a lot of people who feel that way. And that's where their energy relies and focuses on. Now, I'm not talking about mental illness. I'm not talking about all this other stuff because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the true rationally thinking that you know what you have. If you have 2 cars, hey. If you have 6 drums, wow. The thing is to be appreciative of what we have. Where do we go from here? First, to acknowledge that, I'm not saying this is the best number 1 country in the world because I've never really truly lived in many other countries to begin with, if any. My point is, every life, wherever you go, wherever you take it, wherever you embark on, it's an adventure, right? Life is an adventure to understand that you're not always going to hit the mark. And if you do hit the mark, congratulations, hit it again. Hit it again. Do it again. I watched my kid, and he'll going through his stuff. But he's giving his power away. I'm thinking to myself, son, it's not so much that you're screwed up or you're screwing up. It's that you've given your power away to another human being, because you don't want to make a decision, because you don't want to make a choice, because you think that other person is smarter and they know what they're doing. Granted, that may be true, but that might not fit your personality. See, there's this illusion that you're in a relationship that, that you just have to, just one of you has to be subservient to some degree or less of. That's such crap. Listen, you have to meet each other in the middle. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Gay or lesbian, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you all have feelings and emotions, and you have to figure out a plan in order to understand each other. You have to figure out a plan that you have limitations for one another. Sometimes you need your space, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you meet in the middle, sometimes you don't. But, a lot of people don't do that. They're too busy worried about how they're feeling or how somebody else is making them feel. Listen, nobody can make you feel anything unless you allow that feelings to enter your spirit and your soul. Because sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But words hurt, obviously. Words hurt people, right? People's feelings get hurt all the time by somebody says. But a lot of times we empower people, we teach people how to treat us. Granted, people have this assumption that I'm one way. People have an assumption that you're one way. But they're only seeing an exterior version of you, a temporary version of you, and how they experience you. Many people experience me through drumming, through these shows, through whatever event I'm teaching or sharing at that moment. And people say, oh, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. Just a human being who's decided to go and embark on a journey and do something that he loves to do and probably didn't even know he loved to do it until he did it. And that's what I'm saying. Get out there. If you really want to embark on a journey and where you go from here, well, sometimes we have to take the first steps to get us there. Oh, but it gets so hard. No one said that it was going to be easy. But if you're letting other people dictate how you feel and where you're going and how you're going, that's going to be a long road, man. And especially if you hold them and revere them in a higher level than you. You put them on a higher precipice than you, a higher plateau than you, put them on a pedestal. You know, we put much people on a pedestal just because we think they're educated, because they're smart. Oh, they must know something because they went to Harvard. But they're so disconnected emotionally, physically, and spiritually because their brain is processing in a different level. You know, so it's not. And then you see someone who's poor and happy and excited for the smallest little gift that they've received from somebody. You know, you go to a foreign country, you know, you give gifts to little children and they're elated. They're inundated. They're like so grateful. Yeah, and you give kids, I watch my own grandkids. I watch other kids. You don't give them the toy they want for Christmas. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this Mario. I wanted that Mario. And I'm going to myself, holy moly. But it's not the kid's fault, is it? Is it the child's fault? Is it the parents' fault? Is it society's fault? Whose fault is it? Is it anyone's fault? It's the system that we've created's fault that trickles down into our personal programming, our personal belief system. That all trickles into us, you know? And sometimes we turn a blind eye in society because we don't want to offend somebody. Sometimes it's better to acknowledge somebody than to offend them. You know, we see homeless people on the street and we go like this. Some of us, not all of us, but a lot of us do. I've been guilty of that in the past. I can't say I can't, and that I didn't do that. I would be lying if I said that. There's moments where you don't want to engage somebody. But you know why? Why do we feel that way about a homeless person? Why do we feel that way about poor people? Why do we feel a certain way about different races of people? Black, white, Asian, you know, European, you name it. Why do we feel triggered by all these different ways of life, these different types of people? Because it's not like ours. It's not how we were programmed. We see things play out and we're like, oh my God, that's horrible. It's our programming projecting onto their programming or the perceptions of what we're watching. And when it reflects back to us, the mirror reflects back to us, that can't be me. I can't be like that. I'm not like that. Well, you know, there's a piece and part of everybody who's like everyone. Because everybody's human, but everybody has different programming and different ideologies and beliefs how they see the world. Now, I'm not saying you have to be one way or another because you'll make that decision for yourself. You'll decide if you want to engage somebody from a different culture, engage a homeless person, talk to a child in a way that's appropriate versus not appropriate, you know? So where do we go from here? Right now, people are feeling all the emotional crunch of all the things that have played out in the world. You know, the world is always a hot mess, and it will always be a hot mess because we're on it, because humanity's on it. It will always be a hot mess because that's the way we function. That's the way we work. That's us. We create hot messes because without hot messes, we have nothing to fix. If everything was perfect and everything was in alignment, then everything would be not in chaos. And so when we don't have chaos, we don't have anything to tangibly attach to in order to make it put it in an order of normalcy, whatever normalcy is in our mind, in our spirit, in our soul. So we set moral standards. We set the golden rule, you know, what would Jesus do? You know, we set all these parameters of how society should function and how we should move. You hear all these statement words, mine is, it's good to be here. It's a reminder that it's good to be here. And I think it's pretty gentle and pretty soft. But I watch people sometimes struggle saying it's good to be here. And why do they struggle? Because part of them doesn't believe it. Part of them struggles with, it's really not that good to be here. I really don't want to be here, but why am I here? But if you say it enough and you believe it enough, then you start to incorporate that. You know, when someone tells you they love you, There's different ways to share the word love. I love you, you know, and you know the different connotations of love, the different inflections of love, and how it's shared with us. I love you, you know, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. You know what I mean? We in America we may have one word for it, but the word in in our Western culture is the inflection of love, how we inflect love onto the situation, onto others. Inflection is important, how we carry and how we deliver the message. And that's important. It's super important. And we forget that sometimes. We just throw words around. But the world, yeah, it's always a hot mess. But it's a hot mess everywhere. Our hot mess, we just think our hot mess is much hotter than that mess. And so our messes are more important than their messes. But listen, it affects the world, affects everyone. Everybody in the world is affected by everybody. You know, one decision can change the thinking of someone radically or spiritually, emotionally in a different way. You know, we have all kinds of things happening in the world. We just see this little picture. We see this little, we put the binoculars on and we just look here. And you know, for some people, that's enough. That's enough to hold on to. That's enough to deal with. And I get that. And I understand that. But if you don't see that the world is suffering with you, right along with you, and because it is, the world is going in the same direction because everybody has the same emotional frequency of finding the despair. And you know, when these big companies and these big corporations and these pharmaceutical companies and these Monsantos and all these companies that don't give anything about care of anything about you except for you to purchase their product and sell it, you know, it's a damn shame. It's a shame because they have to have families. They have to have people that they care about. I've heard stories where people have sold certain products and they told their kids never to buy their products, but they sell it, but they're the CEO of the company. You know, I know there's examples out there and I have to look them up for you, but I've heard it 1,000 times. Many people from that. Maybe some of you have known that, know what I'm talking about. You know, when we think that everything's an easy fix, no, takes time, communication, working together, embracing one another's belief system, because we all come from different backgrounds, different ideologies and beliefs. And then after you've gotten through all that, you create your own belief systems and ideologies and ideas about how you see life and how you project into life and how life projects back to you. And then what you do is you play out the roles that you create for yourself. These roles that you create for you, who you think you are in the gist of all of it. You know, we're just players, we're actors, we're characters in this play we call life. Some of us are the wounded, some of us are the hero, some of us are the fool, you know. We start to talk about, you know, the different, you know, models of humanity, you know. And the thing is, right now, is to understand that we're all going through this mess. You know, the rich man may be sitting, or the rich woman may be sitting on her throne right now, contemplating to go to Mars, but these archetypes play out. Doesn't matter. So you want Elon Musk and his buddies want to go to Mars and live there. Well, the way I look at it, if you can get there, see ya. Bye. Because a lot of us are not going to be able to go to Mars. But if I know how humans think, not everything can be automated, and automation isn't always the key solution. There would be a lot of people, common folk maybe like us, who will go to Mars too, to cater to those needs and those people. And then that's a whole different world out there because they set the rules how it's going to be versus how it is. Here at Earth, at least we have some kind of standard map of sorts. You work, you pay bills, you go to sleep, do it again. You work, pay your bills, go to sleep, do it again. And then we'll give you Saturday and Sunday if you want to play, some time to play. You know, people are working godly awful hours, 12-hour shifts, 15-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts, is all the body can physically handle, according to science, if you believe in science. Those people who out there who create it, we're your effective worker. But we're all bees in the big hive participating, you know. Some of us just scream a little louder to the others and say, hey, are you paying attention? We are just worker bees in the hive. And if we want freedom, we have to tear down the hive. Oh, but we can't tear down the hive because that's giving us the honey. And the honey that we're eating here, if we don't have the honey, we won't survive and we'll die. Oh, no, because you never thought that you can go off and build another hive and do a whole different, and build it the way you want. We're not like actual bees where the bees will die if the queen's there, or things will just fall apart. But we have that thinking that if we change things too radically, then the way of life will collapse upon itself. Well, good. Maybe we need to collapse upon itself and build from the ashes. And unfortunately, some of us won't be around to see it. And I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. People aren't willing to take that step. People aren't willing to step outside of their own comfort zone to make things look or better for the whole. The whole is the whole. We need the whole because you're part of the whole. You are not less than, you are all of it. It's like every drop that hits the ocean is absorbed by the ocean, but it's still the ocean, but you're still the ocean because you are part of the ocean. And that's the same theory. That's the same belief. I'm not saying we have to be communist or socialist or whatever, but there's a better plan. There's a better way to live when humanity understands that we don't have to do all this stuff. This infrastructure that we've created, this way of life that we've created, it's a I need society. I got to have. I need the next best video game. I have to play my PS5, or my PS, whatever number we're on now. Oh, I need the best looking shoes. I need this, I need that. I need it, I want it. And that's where we're at. Listen, you don't need anything. Truthfully, you don't need anything. You just think you do. Where do we go from here, right? You just think that you need all this. I have not eaten McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, none of that stuff since I came out of the hospital after having COVID. Not one. Am I thinner? Not necessarily, because I'm cooking at home. I'm eating what I eat, an occasional pizza. But I refuse. I refuse. I know that I'm going to die. I know that I'm going to one day not be here. But I refuse to live with an inflamed body like I was before and suffer and watch my body do whatever it wanted to do versus what I wanted it to do. And plus, I didn't exercise because I was lethargic and tired. Yeah, I drummed and had a good time and whatever. But I looked at pictures and videos of myself. I'm going, that was me. Holy crap. I didn't know it was me because when I'm in the moment, I just look like me, right? I look how I look. You can't really change that. It's just how it is. But I was scared. I said, I don't want to go back to that. Never again. And you know what? Since January, and now we're in July, I have not touched any of those fast food chains because I can't. I won't. Now, my family, they do what they want. They have their choices in their minds to decide what's best for them. But I know what's best for me. Not to conform and not to give $1 more to those businesses that sell toxic food to people. If I do it, then somebody else does it, and they believe, listen, if I can go this long without it, that means I don't even need it. And that's the key for me. If I can go this long without it, that means I never truly needed it, never truly wanted it. I got enough other stuff that will inflame me or cause me to feel a certain way. But you know what? I have my moments, but this is the best I've felt in quite some time. Just knowing where I want to go and the decisions I want to make. In fasting and not eating when I don't need to eat, these are decisions that I made for myself. You can do this. You can do and make changes in your life radically that doesn't involve violence or causing for you to feel like you have to give away your spirit and your soul. You can embrace your spirit and your soul by just making a slight shift in your paradigm, a slight shift in your belief system. So many of us get sucked into this idea that life is this way or has to be this way. or we're not going to be able to be part of it. No, you can walk out of your office right now. If you're working around, you can step up and just walk out the door and say, I'm done. And they'll look at you like, done what? And they're like, well, I quit. I'm out of here. And they're like, ha ha ha, well, where are you going to go? Where are you going to find a job? It's not about finding or where, it's finding your bliss, finding the dream, the thing that motivates you. You're part of the you're part of the cog in the wheel. If you fall out of the wheel for a moment in time, that business or that institution or that governmental job you have will suffer a momentary lapse, just a momentary lapse, and then we'll find somebody else and replace you and fill it and fill that part, put it in, and we're back in business. We never needed Iggy anyhow. Screw Iggy or screw whoever. We got Julie now. Julie is better than Iggy, and that's my point. You're just a part inside of a big machine that needs you and doesn't need you all at the same time. It sounds kind of scary. And you're like, where's God in all this? Well, God already made his decision or her decision, gave you free will to decide what's best for you. But in the meantime, tithe 10% of your earnings, or is it 20% now? And give back to the church so the church can be sustained. And pray to me, because if you don't pray to me, I guess, I don't know. I guess you're not going to heaven. You're going to hell if you don't support. But you get my point, right? Another system of corruption, religion. No, I'm not here to say God's not real, because I believe in God. I believe in all the aspects of creation and God. That's where I'm at. I'm not an atheist. I don't have it. I may sound like an atheist sometimes, but I believe in a grand scheme, some grand creator. This grand creator loves me. I don't think the grand creator this is what the grand creator wanted us to create. This is what we thought we needed to create in order to make sure that things were running right. Many of you have heard this. We're the only species that charges our species to use the natural resources of this planet. And now, universal energy, the sun, the wind. Excuse me. We're the only species. My squirrel doesn't charge the other squirrels, I need 50 nuts so you can live in this tree house. That doesn't happen, you know? But that's my point. Humanity abuses humanity. And it will abuse humanity until the day it dies. And you know what? Quite frankly, one day we will not be here. Either in two ways. When the earth decides she's tired and she's done of being stripped mined, and she's tired of being her blood drawn out of her body, and she will break down, or when we don't longer cease to exist, when we no longer cease to be. Those are the things that are going to happen. There's just no getting around that. There's no getting away from that. There'll be a generation who will witness this. And possibly there'll be some of my generational lineage watching this. And maybe not. Who knows? But there will be a generation who will witness the end of the earth or the end of humanity. It could be through war. It could be through famine. It could be through disease. It could just be the earth just crumbles apart because it can no longer sustain itself, because we have ripped it of everything that it was. Because it won't be too long until we can go into the core and the lava of the earth and harness that energy to heat our homes, to heat our towns, whatever, you name it. If they're not, they call it thermal heating and stuff, but I'm talking about the actual lava containment where we can actually keep it and use it. There's all kinds of stuff. The sun, solar panels. They always try to sell you, but it's not feasible. It's easier to burn coal. It's easier to burn fuel. It's easier to have a nuclear power plant going. Now, I'm not saying humanity hasn't had great advances, but humanity has made great advances for themselves, not for the animals, not for anything else. Humanity has only made advances for its being, okay? And I wish people would listen to what I'm saying, because humanity has only made great advances for humanity. Not for the earth, not for the deer, not for the rabbits, not for the birds, not for anything that lives, sentient beings that live apart from us in the world. No, humanity has stopped, okay, because humanity only has done the benefits humanity. All right. Why? Because humanity is here. Humanity has become the apex tier suppressor. We're not the apex species. We're the apex suppressor. We keep the other apex down because we don't want them to ever take us over and eat us as food or destroy us because we're powerful in numbers. We're like red hot fire ants. You mess with one, you're going to mess with all of us, right? Kind of same concept. But humanity has only made strides that helps humanity. But we made trees, we made blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just kind of like they plant all the male trees along the road so they don't bear fruit. Humanity always does what's best for humanity. Okay, so humans do what's best for them. Not anybody else, not the Martians, not the aliens, not the wildlife in your backyard. Humanity, the great strides that people talk about and that humanity has made has just been for humans. Why? Because humans need to survive and be able to live. Kind of like this thing that happened to us for 2 years. Oh, we have to save everybody. How'd that go? Oh, but it's a magic pill. Oh, it wasn't very magical, was it, when you found out that people who had the pill or took the whatever, and they also got sick? Well, that was a shocker. Was surprising there, wasn't it? How'd that happen? That wasn't supposed to happen. I thought it was supposed to. Because humans only do what's best for humans. Humans only do what's going to help humanity. It ain't going to do what helps anybody else. That's why we struggle and we do all the things we do. So when I hear people say, well, we've made great strides in medicine, we've made great strides in this. Listen, we've made great strides in every category that will help humanity. But you know what? We haven't given it all to humans. We haven't given it all to humanity. Humans have created the cure for cancer for years, but they won't sell it. They won't give it to people. No, it's not profitable. If you keep people well, that doesn't make money. Vitamins don't make money. But if I give you medicine that keeps you just alive, just enough, and just keeps your heart going just enough, that's medicine. That's power. And I truly believe in my hearts of hearts that a lot of the ailments and diseases that are on this planet have already been, there's a cure for it on the planet itself. Because all the things that humans use are synthesized versions of the plants, or synthesized version of a mushroom or a fungi or something. Nothing that is made from man. Listen, you have to listen to this very clearly. Every pill and everything that you're taking comes from where? Outer space? This isn't a trick question. No one's answering. No one's posting. Because it all comes from the earth. It all comes from the planet. It's reconstituted. It's added a molecule here, a molecule there. Where did that molecule come from? It came from the universe. It's here. We add this or that to it. That's what I'm talking about. Humanity knows exactly what they're doing in order to control the rest of humanity. But nobody wants to hear it. Everybody's too busy in their little worlds, too busy ignoring the true facts, you know, that we have to get rich off these people. Because if we don't get rich off these people, how are we going to sustain our lifestyle? In my heart, I believe that we have the keys and the answers. And the keys and the answers to everything, and every ailment and every disease and everything that's known to man that can be fixed is on the earth. It's in the Mother Earth. It's in the plants. It's in the soil. It's in the air. It's in the water. But nobody wants to hear that because all your medicines, every medicine that you take, comes from Mother Earth, brothers and sisters. Comes from the Earth. Doesn't come from the moon. Doesn't come from Jupiter. It doesn't come from Mars. It doesn't come from Elon Musk. It doesn't come from Bill Gates. It doesn't come from this or from that. It comes from the Earth. The Earth creates it. The Earth manufactures it, makes it. The best healer is your Mother Earth. But nobody wants to listen. Nobody cares. There is a segment of people who cares, but that segment's very small. Aspirin's a good example. That comes from a tree, you know, from Peru. The priests figured it out. And bear root, you ever heard of bear root? Chew on that, takes away your headache. There's a lot of stuff. I hope you hear what I'm saying. I'm not upset. I'm not complaining, and I'm mad. But humans do it to humans. Where do we go from here? We go from here when we understand that humans do it to humans. They finger you. But nobody wants to hear that. Oh no, they would never do that, Iggy. Oh no. Why would they do that? Stop. They want you to conform. They want you to be a certain way, but yet they won't be that certain way. They won't do it themselves. Why do we do it? We're the ones giving you the magic pill. I don't know, good. I gotta do it. No, you need my pill. I don't need your pill. You don't got nothing to give me. Exactly. You have nothing to give back. You have to give. Anyways, you know, you can make this world however you want. The politics side and all that stuff. You can make this world any way you want. We're too afraid. We're too afraid to step. We're too afraid to go to jail. We're too afraid that we got to do this. If we were defiant like a child was, a defiant child doesn't cause havoc. They just are defiant. They just do it. If we were like that, things would change radically, like that. Boom. But we're not. The defiant child has been moved out of us. That energy is moved out. We've been programmed that we have to submit and that we have to live this way or that way. And that we have to have a good job, that we have to buy a big house, have a fancy car if you can get there, or have a high education so we can pay more taxes, so we can sustain the people who don't pay. And then the people who do fight and the people who step out, we're radicals, we're hippies, we're the dirty ones, because we want to think outside the box. Society is all like this at each other. We're like two magnets that can't attract because of the ideologies and the beliefs, you know? And then when we do get stuck, it's temporary. And then we find a common ground and we snap apart. Because we don't know how to compromise. We don't know how to work together. We don't know how to find a bridge that we can all cross together and work from it together. Because somebody wants to control the bridge and someone wants to pull a toll on the bridge and somebody wants to control the bridge to maintain the bridge. In order to maintain the bridge, well, if everybody just worked on the bridge together and maintained it together, we don't have to pay tolls. But it's easier to pay a toll on the bridge to get across the bridge than versus me having to get my hands dirty to fix the bridge or haul. I just want to haul my medicine across the bridge so I can sell it to you. See, this is how it all works. This is how it all started. Somebody's had a great idea. How do I capitalize on this? How do I capitalism? How do I capitalize in order to win, to use it to my favor? This is nothing new. This is nothing new. I'm sure the first cave people did the same thing. Hey, I got myself an animal, and I'm going to eat it here. What are you going to give? Well, you want some meat? What are you going to do for me? Oh, I got berries. I want your berries. Oh, I got these shells. Oh, those are pretty shells. I'll take some shells. Give me 2 shells for a piece of meat. I don't know if that was that way, but it sounds about right. It's kind of like that. We create currencies. We create this system. We create this money, paper, cotton, linen. People die for cotton and linen. Paper money. Not even paper. It's just cotton and linen, right? You can wash it. That's what they call it, laundering, money laundering, because you can wash it, so it makes it look old, so it doesn't look new. And then you're also moving funds that you don't get taxed and the government doesn't. You don't get dinged. I watch Ozarks, man. Come on. I knew that before that. But regardless, what I'm saying is this. Where do we go from here? Well, the question is, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? How do you want to see your world? Because sometimes all we can control is our own personal little world. And it may not be enough, but it'll have to be enough for now. But if enough little worlds come together, ideas, then we can change things. How much are you willing to change? How much are you willing to give away? How much are you willing to give up in order to change this world that you don't seem to like or seems to be corrupting or stifling or impeding on your rights, impeding on your your feelings, your emotions, your body, your spirit, your soul. What are you willing to give up? What will you give up in order to get to that place of some kind of balance or harmony? I'm Iggy Garcia. This is the Mind of Iggy. Just a little time to reflect and think about stuff. So I'll see you guys next time. And just do the best you can. Ho'oponopono, matakuyasin. All love. What is above is below. Ita sequi. It's good to be here. And I'll see you next time. Aho.